Hey guys, welcome to our Kiki Notes. This is the first video in the Hibernate playlist. In this video, we will discuss four topics. The first one is about Hibernate introduction and its definition. The second topic is about JDBC and Hibernate differences. And then the third topic will be the Hibernate architecture and its objects we'll try to explore. And the fourth topic will be the advantages of Hibernate framework. So if you have not subscribed yet, do subscribe my channel to get more updates. Let's get into the video now. Basically, Hibernate framework is an open source and which is created by Gavin King in the year 2001. It's an open source framework, we said, and we call it as ORM, that is Object Relational Mapping. What happens is that the objects are converted and then it will be stored in the relational databases. Fine. So we call this as persistent data. So persistence means storing objects in the database tables. Okay. So now where we have these objects, that is in POJO class. So we gonna create a POJO class, that is plain old Java object. We have already created this similar POJO class in JSP in previous playlists. Fine. So here POJO class plays a most important role in Hibernate framework. So those objects means those variables will be mapped directly to the column names of the table. So once you map, that is called as persistent object. So whatever the changes you do after mapping, so it will be automatically synced with the data. So the developer don't want to worry about the database code and what is happening behind that and all. We simply have to develop the application because the objects are already synced and which are stored in that table, right? So it'll get synced automatically. So we don't want to worry about that. All right. Now the difference between JDBC and Hibernate. So JDBC is Java database connectivity. Until now, in the four modules we have discussed, that is JDBC, we have discussed JDBC concepts, and then Swing concepts we have used, and then we have used servlets, and then JSP. So throughout these four modules, we have used JDBC connection, right? And then while performing JDBC connection, we used to type the uh, you know code manually, right? But in Hibernate, everything happens automatically just by creating configuration files. So this code, I mean the JDBC code will get generated automatically for us. Fine. So now whenever we want to map objects into our model in JDBC, we need to do manual coding. But here using this ORM, it can be performed automatically, and this is more flexible. This Hibernate is more flexible than JDBC. Okay. So because of this ORM feature, uh, this reduces the development time and maintenance cost because the database code will get generated automatically for us. Whereas in JDBC, it we need to follow the 5 steps. We know that the most important steps of JDBC connection, and then like registering the driver, getting the connection, creating the statement, executing the query, and then close the connection, right? And then we need to use a result set and we need to handle it. But there is no such thing in Hibernate. So it reduces the development time for us. And moving further, this Hibernate is portable to all SQL databases. But when we use JDBC, we need to specify the driver for that. For example, if you use MySQL, then you have to specify MySQL driver. So accordingly, if you change the databases and you need to follow a certain syntax like class.forName com.jdbc.mysql.driver we used to say. So similarly for Oracle, it changes, right? But in Hibernate, it is portable, which is database independent Hibernate. All right. And we can perform CRUD applications. We performed many CRUD applications as well in the JDBC. databases. So similarly, we can perform in Hibernate also, we can perform CRUD applications, but without SQL. Means we're going to use something called as HQL, that is Hibernate Query Language, fine, which is independent from type of database. So even our query, I mean the statements, for example, if you want to display a record using SQL, then we used to write select star from table name. But in HQL, we have to just write from class name you will be writing. That's it. So that it displays the records for us. So we need to do, I mean, we have to just use these using XML files. We will perform some mapping, and then so that the code will get, uh, you know, generated automatically for us. But in JDBC, we should perform all the operations. So this is the outline or the differences between JDBC and Hibernate. So when compared to JDBC, Hibernate is more flexible and portable, and even the HQL syntax is going to be shorter. And by creating XML files, the code will get generated automatically, means the database code, like JDBC code, right? So that is why the development time will get, reduced in Hibernate. Fine. So we can do faster application developments. Hope this is clear for you. Now, the third topic is about Hibernate uh, architecture. So before that, let me just give you one small glimpse about this. So you can see that the Java application, we are going to have objects, and using Hibernate framework, that is ORM, object relational mapping, and all our objects will be mapped into the table, uh, database table, right? So once if it is mapped, we call it as persistent objects. Now, what is persistent object? That the from POJO class, these objects will be mapped directly to the database tables. That's it. This is what the summary until now we have seen. So this ORM uses JDBC API internally for the database connection purposes and all. Now we have the third topic is about architecture, Hibernate architecture, and we have four layers. One is Java layer, Hibernate framework layer, and we have backend API for JDBC and all. And then we have the database layer. So here you can see this is our Java application, and we have the persistent object. That means in POJO class we have variables, and we will map these variables into means objects into this database table using this ORM, so which is provided by Hibernate. So these two are the files, XML files we need to create. One is configuration file and mapping file. Fine. So this is about the layers. Now you can see the complete architecture, and these six things are called as the Hibernate objects. Okay, so this is the Java application, and this is persistent object. Now, by this time, you should know what is persistent object. Uh, and that is the objects will be which are mapped to the database tables. Okay, means we can call it as permanent objects even until you delete the database, the mapped objects will remain stored in the table. Clear? Now we have six objects. The first one is configuration. We will be using these six objects in each and every single code which we perform in Hibernate. Okay, so like in JDBC we used to follow the 5 steps, right? So similarly these objects should be used. For example, if you want to do a database connection using Hibernate, then you have to configure first. So this configuration object is about that Hibernate mapping file and configuration file, XML files. Okay, it has the entire configuration of your table, database, and all. And then the objects means the persistent object. Session factory is thread safe, and it uses configuration object, and it creates the session factory. Now the session factory is like one session factory object should be created for one database. Now if you want to connect multiple databases, then you need to create different session factory objects. Okay, so this session factory object will be used as it is thread safe, it will be used by all other objects. Okay, so the whole Java application can use this session factory object. Now this session will this session of object is for making the physical connection, or it will open the physical connection with the database. Fine. Now transactions, that is supported by JTA, that is Java Transaction API. So in JDBC, we perform the transactions, right? Like commits, rollback, and set auto commit and all. So similarly, this transaction object is used to perform, transactions between the databases, right? From your database to your Java application, like storing, retrieval, and all. So, and then this query, where we used to write the HQL statements, um, and then this criteria object is used to execute these queries. It will take care of the execution and result generation and all. So in databases, we have this JDBC. Uh, I mean, the in backend, it uses JDBC, right? We have seen JDBC API, and this JNDI is again comes from the background, like it is Java naming directory interface. It is about for directory namings and all. Fine. So this is about the architecture of Hibernate, and we have six main objects inside the Hibernate framework, which I have given a short explanation. Okay. Now, out of all these things, so you can see that the session object is the core object, and these are all the internal APIs. We can see JTA, JNDI, JDBC, and now we'll talk about this Hibernate cache memory. So we have two levels of cache. That is, you can see that the database, the first level cache memory, and then the session object, and this is the client. And there is something called a second level cache memory. This is optional. Okay, so this I'll show you. We can, if you want to have more cache memory space, and we can change the settings, and we can create that. So that I'll show you when we go for the demo. So now this first level cache memory is optional. Sorry, it is mandatory, and the second level is optional. Fine. So we know that the callable statement uses cache memory so that it is faster. So similarly, Hibernate has got the two level of cache memory. Fine. So that it will be more faster than that, because the results will be stored in cache memory so that it can be fetched easily. All right. Now the advantages of Hibernate. We know that it is open source and lightweight. I forgot to mention one point, that session factory is heavyweight and session object is lightweight. Okay. Then it performs faster because of this cache memory. And then database independent query. We're gonna use HQL, Hibernate query language, so that it is database independent. And we don't want to change the syntaxes for each and every single time, right? And the seventh point is most important. That's why I've highlighted it in the red color. You can see that you don't need any application server to operate. Basically, until now, we have used MySQL and Apache, and then we have used Tomcat servers, right, in the previous modules. So here you just need MySQL. You don't need any extra servers like Apache or Tomcat to execute Hibernate programs in Java application. Okay. And automatic table creation, yes, we're going to use those configuration files so that it'll be created. I mean, the code or table code will be generated for us. And even it simplifies the join operations. And then also it provides the statistics and database status if required. We can do that. So these are all the advantages of Hibernate framework. And hope you are clear with the concepts which we have seen just now. We have discussed what is Hibernate framework, and then we have discussed JDBC and Hibernate differences, and we have seen the architecture of Hibernate, and then we have discussed the advantages of Hibernate framework. Hope this is clear for you. Uh, if you have any queries, do let me know in the comment section. I'll be there to help you out. In the next video, we will start the demonstration. Stay tuned. Thank you, and thanks for watching the video.